Hi. Hello, it's me again, Stephanie Van Vark, and thank you for joining us at Talking Business. First, let me start by apologizing for Tuesday. The technology, I don't know what happened, but we are ready today. I will be on point today, so please stay tuned and thank you for tuning in again. And a special thanks to the ladies of Oliver and Juliet who have a film background and was able to keep the conversation going. So we really appreciate that. Tune back in on December 8th and we will actually have a real show with those ladies. So today, we are talking to a gentleman, and it's interesting we're talking to him today because it's Give Miami Day. Give Miami Day is an event. It's a Miami-Dade County event that is sponsored by Miami Foundation that supports and generates sort of a county-wide fundraising effort for a nonprofit. So today we are talking to a nonprofit who understands the importance of needing to raise funds for their constituency. We are going to meet Lixon Nelson. How are you, Lixon?
Hey, Scott, Stephanie, thank you for having me on this morning, Stephanie.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Stephanie, I appreciate it, but I wouldn't be the person that I am if I did not take responsibility for this morning to your audience. So
you.
thank you, so I appreciate you being patient with me, Stephanie. But
No
that is all to
worries.
my technology. You are always ready. And I
No
appreciate you
worries.
for giving me the time to present myself correctly. Good morning,
Well, it's
everyone.
no problem because I think when this was first proposed to me, I was like, it's a very interesting concept. And very quickly, Lixon is he's the executive director of the Alliance Community and Employment Services. It's a nonprofit. And if I understand correctly, your mission is about helping disabled individuals prepare for the workforce. So with that, if you could introduce yourself and tell us what you do and expound a little bit on what I talked about, what I shared.
Yeah, yes, once again, thank you this morning. Lixon Nelson, I'm the president of Alliance Community and Employment Services. We are a nonprofit disability employment program with the state of Florida under the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, which is associated through the Department of Education to help individuals with disabilities, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, be able to find gainful employment in the community and also assist them with post-secondary education and vocational training in the community to help them be gainfully employed long term with our assistance.
Now, if you don't mind sharing, I read it in your bio, but if you don't mind sharing, where did this passion sort of originate from?
It originated from since now which one? The passion for people with disabilities or the passion for the entrepreneurship?
Both. Any.
Well, okay, the entrepreneurship it started at a very young age. My mother was an entrepreneur. My mother, yes, in Haiti, my mother operated and helped other people start businesses. My mother spoke 3 languages, didn't read and write any of them, but she traveled, and through her interaction with people, and me always seeing my mother travel back and forth, asking what's going on. It's later on in my young adulthood, I found out my mother did merchant services. I mean, merchant transport, exporting, and and that was her passion. So I picked up that from my mother. And growing up as a young man, watching TV shows of entrepreneurs on TV, and also having the disability, the dyslexia, I really didn't speak until like 9, 10 years old of trying to process what's going on. So I big household. My brothers, you can imagine, they're very active with high school and social interaction, and my dad working 2 jobs, and mom traveling, back and forth. So the TV was my companion.
Gotcha.
So, and not speaking, just sitting there listening, doing a lot of active listening because when you work with kids with speech therapy, it's all about the active listening.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to just listen to these individual stories,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole process and absorbing that. So that's where I grew my passion for entrepreneurship, watching a
Okay.
Michael J. Fox movie of him graduating college and trying to get into the executive position, but they wouldn't give him a chance. So he took the mailroom position and worked his way on up. So that's always been something that I wanted to do. So graduating high school, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
No, I,
graduating high school, attended New York State University College of Technology, also known as Canton. That's where my academics started forming.
okay.
Meeting teachers that were patient, teachers that are willing, to extend themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And coming from a small educational program as a special education student, the small college setting was definitely beneficial to me.
Good, good. So, as I read your bio, I thought it was very interesting. If I understood correctly, you got your BA in Business Administration or Business Management in 2008. And I'm not trying to throw out dates, but okay. It seems quickly after that, you became a co-founder of this organization, which, was really quite quick. Was that motivation because of an inability to find a job, or were you just really ready to get out into that entrepreneurial space?
Neither one of them. What happened was I've been very fortunate. My mother has Alzheimer's.
Mhm,
So along the way, I've always had mature older women that were like mother figures. So my late partner, Miss Joe Graham, that
mhm.
passed away from lung cancer, ACEs was Joe's dream.
Okay.
Joe being a Panamanian, Jamaican, Caribbean background, and passing for almost Hispanic herself, and being not wanting to be part of the racial and back and forth, and just loving people. So
Mhm,
she started ACEs, and her helping me coming into working with people with disabilities. That was my first time,
mhm.
and she was like, "Look, I'm starting this new company. I'm going to leave. They more than likely is going to offer you my position,
Okay. Okay.
because I trained you, doing a great job. But if you ever want to come on board with me, let me know. I would love to have you as a partner." So after 6, 7 months of not working with Joe, I jumped ship and went to go work with her. Told my dad, and my dad was like, "Well, it's your decision. I'll support you, but you do understand you're leaving a salary, more money, to go
Mhm.
start all over from nothing." Well, I'm like, well, Joe set me up with a couple of clients before I did that. Like a mother, she guided me through the process. You know, I was
Mhm.
able to start bringing some income in,
Okay.
becoming a disability provider on my own,
Okay.
on my
Okay.
own, you
So
know.
you were like a franchise, meaning so she started sort of the mother program or the mother business, and you were a franchise here in the South Florida area.
Yes, I was my own provider. I was my own provider. And working with people with disabilities, vocational rehab, and APD, Agency for Person with Disability, we like to call ourselves providers. So
Okay.
I was a provider myself before
And
I collaborated.
is your model still set up that way?
You got no. Now I'm not considered a solo provider. I'm an organization agency. When you're by yourself, you're considered a solo provider.
Okay.
So because I have more than 10 employees underneath me, 'cause, I've been fortunate, I'm considered an agency.
But the incorporation for the organization is based out of what your partner did. And
Yes.
okay, interesting. Very interesting. Are there other such agencies around the country?
Oh, yes, there's several. There's several organizations that are working with people with disabilities that paved the way for me
Uh-huh.
to learn from. Best Buddies, Goodwill, Easter Seal. There's so many. We can go on and on. These organizations have been doing the fight, to sort of say, as far as the advocacy fight of getting people with disabilities to be accepted and recognized. So I'm just following in their footstep and learning as I'm
Mhm.
coming up.
So this show is a lot about the pivot plan. being prepared during challenging circumstances. And one of the things I've actually admired nonprofits for is their ability to have an emergency plan in place. Um, did you have an, because I understand that's something that's required by the funders. Did you have an emergency plan? And now that it's in full execution, are you finding that that emergency plan was adequate? Or
Yes.
good, very good. What are some of the things that were on your emergency plan? If you don't mind me getting really nosy.
Well, of course, of course, you got your family. So, the emergency plan for a nonprofit organization and the definition was taught to me. I want to thank Urban League Broward,
Mhm,
Mr. Cunningham, one of the business advisors there. Being that I'm a nonprofit, Urban League had some funding that was available a couple
mhm,
years ago.
mhm,
I was one of the top small businesses there, as
mhm,
far as income generated and as far as stats and information. But due to that I was a nonprofit, I was not able to get the funding. And it was
mhm,
very disappointing. I
mhm,
had some projects, I had some potential employees that I was supposed to bring on board because I and the Urban League, we thought I was a shoe-in.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
And I was until we found out because this was like a program that came in, still being worked out with the state
mhm.
of Florida, that it was only for profit businesses.
Okay.
And because of that, I lost out on that funding opportunity. So Mr. Cunningham said, well, this is what you need to do. This is what League does. They have a for-profit and they have a non-profit. They
Mhm.
use the for-profit to generate potential grant funding and loans for the nonprofit. And the nonprofit now can also assist the for-profit with tax breaks to
Okay.
be able to bring in. So it was actually was a learning experience, and I
Okay.
thank the Urban League for that. You
So you
know,
practice both then.
yes, because of Mr. Cunningham Urban League, that became my backup. So
Oh,
now ACES Services Inc., the for-profit, we're venturing into mental health.
uh-huh.
So we're working with DJJ, and we're working within the community to start providing mental health and substance abuse training and life skill coaching.
Okay.
and and then we're also looking into going into different agricultural programs that can also assist. So we have a plan.
Okay. Okay. Um, always actually. So how do you make your money? Um, you know,
Wow. Okay.
I go all in, right?
Okay.
I go all in. And
Hey,
by the way,
don't we?
I'm not necessarily asking for dollars and cents.
No, 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 no. Okay.
I think it's always intriguing that, as a for profit, nonprofits operate a little differently and they secure their funding a little differently. And what's considered revenue to us is funding for you, those words. So how do you make your money and are able to function in the way that you are?
Well, not to get into numbers, but
Mhm,
currently the way our programs and the providers programs that provide the employment services for the state, we're performance based. So
okay.
based on and it has its pluses and it has its minuses. So coming
Mhm,
from a state funded program like Career Source, and the disability program that I left, that providing agency had the money allocated to them, and we got compensated. But
right.
being that I'm a performance based now, I'm based on the amount of individuals that I put to work and the
Uh-huh.
amount of individuals that I service, and then my agency is compensated.
Okay.
So the first 2 years it was kind of rough because you have to get used to the state. The state, their funding is on a time stream schedule.
Uh-huh.
So because their funding is on a time stream schedule and they're funding every other civil service programs throughout the state, you just have to put yourself in line with the state's funding streams. So
Okay.
as a performance base, right now the economy is kind of tough, so
Right.
it's kind of hurting us, you know, and grants, guys, kind of tough to come by. It's all about the grant writer,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't promise anything. So we tried a couple times in the past. I put out some funding and have not been successful. So
Okay.
that's where the for profit comes for. Now we can provide services
Mm-hmm.
and get money coming in to help supplement the nonprofit.
So that pivot plan actually was put in place earlier, but are you now under the circumstances we're under now rethinking which of these models is going to sort of change how you operate and as a new normal, not necessarily until we can get out of the fix we're in?
Well, currently we got right right now we got with the change in the model, it's got really more to implement more technology
Mm-hmm.
into it,
Yeah.
because since everything is becoming a tech-based world, is getting more people with disabilities more accessibility technologies to
Mm-hmm.
be able to help them compete in the job market.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's where my other company, I'm Unique, comes in. It's getting more tech savvy myself to be able
Mm-hmm.
to educate our participants and also becoming more tech savvy.
Okay. Now, I did a little research. The job market right now is a little crazy. I think the stats say we've lost roughly about 22 million jobs during the course of the pandemic. I think we bounced back somewhat about 50%. But as my research determined, disabled individuals, it's much higher, and the bounce back has not been as aggressive. That seems to be traditionally the state of our affairs anyway. The pandemic had nothing to do with that. So, what operational, not only operational procedures, but what strategies are you rethinking right now to rectify that problem? And do you see this as an opportunity to really figure out how to balance the playing field?
Yes. We can all look at the economy and the situation with the COVID two ways. We can either degress or progress.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it happened to come at having to degress from closing down my special needs school,
Mm-hmm.
and that vision, not stopping but being put on hold for me to reanalyze the whole 4 years of trying to get it going and actually getting it going and see how I can reposition it,
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
And now for individuals with disabilities is to be able to say, okay, everything has stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's on the same equal playing field right now.
Absolutely.
Everybody has to do self growth, and everybody has to start looking how do they put themselves in position. So if something like this happened, they're in better situation.
Right.
So when we're speaking to our clients, we're trying to keep them motivated, keep them encouraged. And I use humor jokes saying that, hey, you're receiving a disability check for 750. Now somebody's getting a stimulus check for six something. Hey, you're actually making a little more. So
Look at my money
humor
today.
in there. At the end of the day, and tell them, look, the same way you're using that EBT card, hey, if you don't mind, if you got a little extra money left over, I can go
Oh,
shopping with you. I need to pick up some stuff too. Because with that
no,
EBT card,
I'll take it. I will. I will.
what free food? Hey, I don't play when it comes to free food.
Exactly.
So and
Exactly. Exactly.
so is the mindset of just getting our participants and even myself and yourself. It's all about reevaluating ourselves and
Hmm.
seeing so that period of time for me, I've been able to reanalyze all my business projects. I've been
Hmm.
able to meditate more, do more self growth, enlighten myself, and just start taking time to just enjoy these last 12 years.
Right. Right.
Because as the CEO of a nonprofit, people don't understand there is really no time off.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So unfortunately, I took the leap of faith and venture with Miss Joe Graham, and she happened to pass away. Since
Mhm.
then, it's been now
Right.
my brain trust guy, my child, that has given birth to this other company here.
Right.
I'm unique.
We'll speak to that a little bit because I don't think people really understand that when your name is on the shingle, for lack of a better way to put it, um, it all starts and sort of stops with you. So, talk to a little bit and especially in your realm, because what you do is a direct service to individuals' lives. So, talk a little bit about the emotional um, challenge with that, um, the financial challenge with that, the responsibility you may impose on yourself or may actually lie in your hands. How do you manage that on a daily basis?
Well, it's gotten to the point to where, I have to realize even within myself, I can't carry this burden anymore
Mhm.
because I'm a lot more younger than I look. Yeah, but
Well,
but
I know your age.
through the process, I've learned, the same way coming up in school to
Mhm.
ask for help and being open to receive help. I
Mhm.
went a couple of years of always being the decision maker, the final say, all the pressure, all the accolades, and all the blessings that come with it. So I'm
Mhm.
not going to sit here and act like, there's no blessings. There's been
Right.
way more good times than bad times.
Okay, good.
I can honestly say, too much is given, much is required. So I've
Good.
been given a lot. I've been given way more than my dreams could imagine as a young man with dyslexia growing up.
Mhm.
So it's a beautiful ride,
Right.
a beautiful ride to say. So I had to change the way I started seeing myself and say, you know what, you know, some of my actions was not representing what was on the inside. When
Oh.
you work with people with special needs, you have way more patience, you have way more tolerance,
Mhm.
way more understanding
Mhm.
because you understand that you're a voice for them.
Yes. Yes.
So now when you come across others that typically quote not normal, I mean now they are perfect or normal, you tend to exaggerate yourself a little too much.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
decision making and being boisterous. And so I had to learn that, I wasn't allowing the help that I've been praying for to come because I've been so much used to having to make the decision. My board of directors are always there, of course, for the big decisions,
Mhm.
but it's the small little decisions that
Mhm.
help the big decisions move along. So
Come.
those little decisions that I didn't have someone there, like time off, sick, pay raise, pay cut, people, you
Exactly.
know,
All that,
people,
all that start with you.
yeah, people needing an extra check
Mhm.
because their child or their medical condition, or even me, having to deal with having Crohn's disease.
Mm.
I take a Remicade treatment. It's almost like a form of chemo. People
No.
don't know. And every 6 weeks, I get these kind of medication that's put into my body that also plays into my hormones and my, my anatomy. So
Mhm.
times that I may look like to you that I'm smiling, but deep down inside, I'm really just trying to bounce back
Right.
because my health. And there's
Right.
times that my health is up, my health is down, but I still got to go punch in.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
And then and you still got people that need jobs. You still got the state that needs their report, employee staff that still needs guidance and coaching,
Mhm.
and opportunity to grow. So it became a lot. So and that's why COVID has been a blessing.
Mhm.
Everything shut down,
And it
so I
made
got to breathe.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
So so I just went back to a couple of old business books that helped me get started, like John Maxwell, the 21 Most Powerful Minutes in a Leader's Day. What's the other one? The Purpose Driven by
Mhm.
Rick Warren.
Yes, I read them.
TD Jakes Before I Do.
Mhm.
So a little personal books to work in certain areas that's been kind of lacking.
Right.
So the
Right.
COVID has been great. So I've helped. I mean, some of my staff has stepped up. I promoted some staff members within that's been loyal to now step up and take my place as the director, as I operate full time as the CEO. And I brought in a personal assistant
Okay.
to help manage the personal and the business to be able to step in and allow me to take breaks here and there.
Okay. So it seems like you're expanding your operations, which is very interesting. So, how is that translated to your marketing? Who are you marketing to? And what is it I would imagine you're sort of marketing to two groups of people, your participants as well as the companies you're trying to hire them to. So, how has that evolved now that you've been able to expand your operations? And is there a strategy to do either more of that or less of that, or change or enhance your brand? Like, what are those conversations like right now?
Well, those conversations, and it's everything that you said. It's all of that. So I'm going to touch on all of that. One for me to slow down
Mhm.
as a CEO, and cutting back on some of the visions and some of the passion projects that I have.
Mhm.
As an entrepreneur, we have more than one. So
All the time.
yeah, so yeah, somebody say something, you grabbing a notepad,
Right,
you read a book,
that's what
you're inspired by even an ant can inspire you,
I
so it's common as being there you go. So and as you can see, I got a couple behind me because, so, and is slowing down and, listening to my team,
Mhm.
trusting in my team that they have my full trust, but
Mhm.
being able to manage but not micromanage.
Right.
And that's the part about being a self um, organization CEO by myself for 12 years, is having to always manage.
Mm.
So as much as I say I want to let go, it's a slow process for me. So I had to realize that through self evaluation. So I brought in a spiritual business coach
Right. Okay.
to be able
Mhm.
to help balance both sides of me
Okay.
and being able to understand it. So I've been slowly, so she's done a great job for me, Miss Angela Kelly. So I've also hired her for ACEs to come in and work with not just me, but also my staff, because
Okay.
we all have areas, that we can grow in to make ACEs better for the community. So I brought her in to also help with the staff team building.
Okay. So I'm a small business. Um, and I will say, again, when this was proposed to me, I started to think myself, could or would or do I have the capability or capacity to hire a disabled individual? Um, I would imagine sometimes that's a question many small businesses own when you start to think of, in some cases, offices and how they're equipped to handle wheelchairs or, a variety of different special applications that have to occur when you're dealing with people who are disabled. Talk a little bit about the companies that or the industries where you found it's been easier to help disabled individuals get employed, and then those that are a challenge, but what you're doing to try to work on um, transition, helping us transition into understanding how to open ourselves up to that opportunity.
Well, the first thing is understanding that even though you're in a social service program such as mine's, but the main driving force is gainful employment.
Mhm.
So this is an employer, excuse me, driven market. So you have to cater to the employer first. You
Okay.
have to, make sure you take care of the employer's needs. And it's sad to say, because you would think with people with disabilities, we will always put their needs first. I've learned in the past what's made me very successful was the same concept that I brought from South Florida Workforce at that time, which is now Career Source.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's I hate to say it, everybody's a number.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, and that's why I hope I hope my community still can, you know, allow me back in. Yeah, you know, because I
Your
can be
business,
a little radical.
your
Hey,
businessman, your businessman, the numbers
yeah,
are
I'm,
numbers.
yeah, you know, I'm like Robin Hood. So I say, okay, what I say it how it is. But so I started seeing them as, look, what I got to do to get you in the door. What is the
Mm-hmm.
sales pitch? What is
Mm-hmm.
your strengths? What are your weakness? What is the employer looking for? What is the employer not looking for? What is
Mm-hmm.
the employer don't want to pay, or what is the employer thinking is a burden to them?
Mm-hmm.
So I do all of that first before approaching a business.
Okay.
And so when I sit down with management, I have a management to management conversation,
Okay.
you know, and that's the beauty of the job that unfortunately, you know, the more the ambition, the more the opportunity, it pulls me away from the field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't really get a chance to do much of that anymore. But when I was doing it, when I do get a chance, I have a management. I tell the employer, look, I studied your business. I know what you're looking for. I know your mission statement. I know exactly what it is. This
Mm-hmm.
candidate, listen, if I want to hire him, I wouldn't present them to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I also let them know that, look, wherever they lack at, you might have a family member that might have a disability, or
Mm-hmm.
you yourself might be going through it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is over the years, every time the interview is over, or every time the sales pitch, or every time the presentation is over, somebody always pulls me to the side and lets me know they have a disability
Mm-hmm.
or they have an employer, I mean, a family member. I've met several employers that have disabilities, several. And that same employer, you like, oh, she crazy, or yo, something's wrong with him. No, they might have, you know, depression,
Uh-huh.
you know, mood swings, anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or even now, we're starting to find out later adults are starting to be tested for autism and starting to come to find out they have autism.
Yeah.
So that cousin, that's
Yeah.
weird, you know, especially there's a stigma within our minority Caribbean community of accepting the label and understanding the label of disabilities. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like they say, I crazy, whatever they, no, or, you know, you could, no, or you got a spirit. No, it's none of that. No, no,
Right.
no, no,
Just
no, 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 no.
it's something we can work on. We can fix it.
Yeah, it's something we can work on. And then also, it's the individual
Mm-hmm.
feeling comfortable. So the way I got thrust into my comfortability with my disability, I had to be put out, you know, to sort of say, it's like I had to be exposed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, later on, as I became exposed for some of the lack of skills I didn't have when it came to writing or expressing my thoughts on paper,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then that's where I met Joe, and Joe helped me, you know, correct it. And along the way, taking college using natural dragon speaking assisted technology, it's helped. But I
Okay.
had to be comfortable of embracing it.
Okay.
And then what helped me embrace it, I had to go look up others that have embraced it.
Right. Right.
So come to find out, you know, Mr. Damon John,
Quite a
other
few.
professionals, Thomas Edison, Muhammad Ali, you know,
Uh-huh.
President Obama had a speech impediment,
So does
so he took some speech therapy.
President-elect Biden.
There you go.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It does.
So and then to lead into the concept of I'm unique. I'm unique basically says everybody is unique
Mm-hmm.
in themselves. So in psychology says there's no such thing as a perfect person. Somebody has some type of form of deficiency. It
Mm-hmm.
might be blinking the eye. It might be rubbing the nose. It might be so. Of course, that deficiency transition into something that's more severe. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, but so that's how the concept I'm unique came about. Is everybody is unique in their own self, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I remember reading the story of Ken and Abel, two individuals, but two separate individuals.
Right. Right. Right.
So, and then that's when the name hit me. And my partner, Dr. Michael R. Bittman, which is also another testimony, was a CEO, a CFO, young CFO that became legally blind overseas. And
Wow.
then so when we collaborated, the state asked me to help him, and he was my first blind person to
Hmm.
find. When I looked at the resume, I was like, "This is nothing." I thought it would have been a shoe in. A
Right.
shoe in went from being 6 months frustration of interviews back and forth. Once employers found out that he would need some accommodations because of his visions, the
Hmm.
second interview never happened,
Right. Right.
or the follow up
Mhm.
never happened. You know, and unfortunately, Dr. Michael R. Bittman is Caucasian Jewish white, so he's experienced it. Now he's experienced becoming legally blind. He's
Right.
experiencing the discrimination,
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
and,
But
and
and that's sort of, I guess, my point. As a small business owner, I would love to hire someone who is disabled, but you know, I don't think it's always about not wanting to do so as much as your concern of can I meet the requirements that are needed in order to make sure that person's experience is what it needs to be to have a full thriving career and money and all the things. So how do you allay a small business owner's concerns when they're saying, I don't know if I can deliver?
hmm, well, in regards to that one is educating them.
Yeah.
Because having the opportunity of being a small provider, and then and I think nothing is done without some thought out process and
Mhm.
thought out reasoning. And the way that our state program, vocational rehab, has done it has been real good by allowing individuals like myself to take a leap of faith on their own and
Uh-huh.
start their own business and become a provider. So since there's so much of us out there, there's so much opportunity to try
Mhm.
to land a position for a person with disabilities. So as far as a testimony, I have not hit on every person that has come through my door. There have been those that have come through my door, and we have not been able to place them, but they've gone to
Mhm.
other agencies and they got placed the next day. I've
Okay.
had those that have walked in my door and got placed the next day and called me the next thing coming to Jesus. So it's all about opportunity, timing, and
Mhm.
effort. If you get a good job coach, and I've been very fortunate to have been blessed with a lot of job coaches that have
Mhm.
gone on and started their own agencies,
Okay.
with my blessing, and then we still collaborate as far as partnerships,
Good.
being able to share information, because my motto is what's for you is for you. Can't nobody take that from you.
That's
But
true.
along the way, I had to put some paperwork. I had to put some things in place to protect, my brand, my creativity, and my energy, which is all part of the business.
Right.
So when I speak to small businesses, I let them know I understand some of their trials and tribulations. It's either
Mhm.
I'm going through it or I'm coming out of it.
Okay.
So and then now it becomes instead of Mr. Nelson, it becomes Lixon and Jerry
Right.
having two conversations like two friends. And I seem to get a lot of employers, which why I've been very blessed to have a large network of people that become personal friends that call me just to ask me for advice.
Right. And then but you tap on something very interesting, and I have had an attorney on who talked about intellectual property and being legally prepared, and methods by which to protect yourself. I don't know. I've worked very closely with a lot of nonprofits, and sometimes in the realm of partnership, sometimes that falls by the wayside. How important has that been for you? And have you found that sensibility of protection and legalities came from your corporate understanding, or just your business acumen, or was that something told to you?
Well, it's come from both. Because, I took business law
Okay.
and college, and I've been very fortunate to have good board members that are mentors in business, who are individuals themselves. But you don't know it until you experience it for yourself.
Right.
I've had some situations legally that was presented that would, excuse me for a second, my phone just needs to be charged. Uh, all the noise in the background, like it said,
Yeah,
that
I was trying to
my
say, I was like, we're losing you a little bit.
yeah,
You there?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just need to grab my charger. As I
Okay.
was saying, I myself has gone through some legal situations that has taught me to protect myself as
Hmm.
far as my interaction with my participants,
Okay.
my interaction with my staff, and interaction with people. And also because being passionate about entrepreneurship
Hmm.
and revealing too much, others have tried to take advantage of my
Hmm.
willingness to share knowledge and information. And because of that, I had to put some things in place
Hmm.
to protect myself and the brand. And understanding any attack that happens to me also is an attack that can damage the brand. So any actions that I or any things that I may partake in the community is also reflection of ACEs and I'm unique. So it's trying always to be, consciously aware of that.
Okay. Okay. Now, here's my final question before we get into who you are. I mean, how we can get in touch with you is what do you feel the future of nonprofits is?
The future of nonprofits is to start thinking and operating like for profits.
Mm, mm,
That's where nonprofits
yeah.
really go wrong.
Mhm.
Non Nonprofits really think that you have to have um uh I'm not that well skillful when it comes to words, so I have to watch the words that I use. Because I want to be raw. I want
Right.
to be raw, but Miss Harris told me do be mindful that I am on camera. So I do have
You
to,
can't
I
do
have
that.
coaches everywhere. That's the thing about having a good support team and not having to make decisions and do all the thinking.
Well,
Where you got where you got people like Miss Harris, telling you how to present yourself. But to go back to say is this: they have to have the mindset that the for-profits have. Like I was told, sometimes you got to be selfish to be selfless.
okay. Fair enough.
So so on my business card, the slogan is the game of life is not over till you compete.
Mhm.
So that same athletic, um, competitive drive I had, one of the state programs I work with, AARP,
Uh-huh.
which I love, and I can't wait to become a provider for AARP, which I think is a beautiful program that can be maximized more to its potential.
I agree.
The gentleman was an older Haitian gentleman that used to work for the Haitian government, that came here and had to open up a cleaning company.
Hmm.
As he's passing off the knowledge to me of how to run a cleaning company and how to implement more people with disabilities and how to make more money, I was like, wow, okay. And he's like, Nelson, look, I worked under the Duvalier administration, all that. He's like, look, sometimes you gotta be competitive and you gotta be tough. He's
Right.
like, look, sometimes you gotta go for everything that you want in life and everything that you want as a company, and try to stick out your chest and say you are number one, but accept all the criticism and all the accolades that come with it. But if you have a poor mentality, you will always stay poor. He said if you have a rich
Right.
mentality like these rich organizations, and of course he was teaching me history with all the other
Mhm.
countries that he worked with. He's like, you will always have an edge. He's like, people, as much as they don't like, you know, um, high confident people, they admire them secretly because they
Right.
want to be them.
It's true.
So he told me you got to be selfish to be selfless, and I've also heard that business peers along the way, but
Hmm.
just in different ways of saying it. That, hey, for nonprofits to compete, they have to start thinking and operating like a for-profit. So thanks to Urban League for telling me to go open up a for-profit
Right.
and venture off and to not just sticking to one services.
Right.
I'm very fortunate of being Caribbean, so hey, having multiple jobs and multiple stream of income, and that's part of how we grow up. Okay? At the end of the day, we all, hey, I could be the CEO of ACES, but let a friend tell me he got a project and he needs a journeyman right now to just hold some wires or hold some, hey, I'm right there. I'll take the glasses off. Hey, you got to eat.
Several jobs.
Several jobs. You got to eat. Like you say, a man that does not work is a man that should not eat.
Right.
So definitely.
Before we go, thank you for the conversation, actually. And actually, I want to say thank you for that statement, because that is a conversation I have a lot about. This is going to be a new day and a new way, and we're all going to have to sort of function as for profits in order to not only sustain but to thrive. Before we go, how do we get in touch with you?
Well, I want to say one thing, and then I'm gonna be quick. Because of my passion of helping people with disabilities and having friends and people in the associate, during the summer we taught students with disabilities how to be entrepreneurs through the community. In order for somebody to qualify, they have to be 14 to 20, 14 to 21. They have to currently be registered in a school-based program, whether it's private, charter, or McKay, or religious institutions. And they have to have document showing that they have a disability, or something proving that they need the services, and or be in a post-secondary training program like Miami-Dade, Lindsay Hopkins, or something that shows the state that you're also being trained. Then you have a disability and you're within the age range. Then now you can get qualified to attend my program and other great programs that are going on during the Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday, where we're teaching individuals employability skills. So, sorry, what I'm doing with my program, I'm also not just teaching the employability skills. I have a passion to try to create at least 1 million employers with a disability.
Very nice.
So that is my passion.
I think it
working.
can happen.
Huh?
I think it can happen.
Oh, of course, it happens every day.
No.
Like, people do not understand. Some of your employers already, and some of your CEOs already have a disability. They're just not coming out like I am.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think the more we get individuals like Damon John, Will Smith, Keanu Reeves, Jennifer Hudson, Muhammad Ali, the more of these individuals, and the more we press. Oh, my favorite one, I got most of all his book, Mr. Richard Branson.
Okay. He has a disability.
Big fan of his. Big fan of his.
But what is his disability?
Dyslexia.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him too.
Oh man, we can talk about that on another show. But Richard Branson dropped out of school with the support of his father. He started the Beatles. He got Virgin Airlines.
Yeah, because impressive, man.
Yeah, because he was, people with dyslexia are people that think outside the box, or use the mechanical side of their brain, are more creative. So to try to keep us in a box, we struggle in school, and that's why we're always looking outside the window. We're always looking into the skies, because what's being taught in front of us, or the person that's relaying the information, does not know how to catch our attention.
Right.
So at ACES, we're teaching for the Christmas and Thanksgiving, and throughout, hopefully I can get funding and support from the community, is to teach more young individuals and people with disabilities to become entrepreneurs, so they can hire more people with disabilities, which will lower the unemployment numbers for people with disabilities, and which will raise the standards for people with disabilities. So we're teaching the kids entrepreneurship, and we're giving them a stipend to learn at the same time. So I'm actually paying them to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just want them to come. I know how it is when you take any class or any training program, you get nervous. I tell the kids, I'm going to do most of the talking, which you see, I love to talk. All they got to do is do a lot of listening and ask a lot of questions to slow me down because I love talking about entrepreneurship and helping them start their own business
Absolutely. And like you said, that'll affect employment because they will in turn hire more individuals who have disabilities. So
and build their confidence. Yeah,
absolutely.
because people understand it's not necessarily the money. There are a lot of people with disabilities that are financially well taken care of, because of our government. It's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily money. It's the people to people interaction and the integration.
And
And
how
that's where I'm unique comes in. Being a social networking site like a Facebook for
uh,
people with medical conditions and disabilities, where you can engage with others that have the same disability as you
and
and
also
network with them.
for your family. I work with an organization here called the Black Police Precinct and Courthouse Museum, and there is a gentleman they honor there who was legally blind, who owned his own store, and for him it was just about having an income that would allow him to take care of his family. And so everybody wants to do that, you know what I
That's
mean?
it.
Just
So
legally blind doesn't mean he don't want to make sure his children and wife can eat. So
yes, so definitely. So where they can reach me at, they can reach me at they can also reach me on social media at Aces Miami on Facebook or
mhm,
Instagram ACS Miami or Twitter Aces Miami or they
mhm,
can call the office which is 305-757-3372 or they can email me directly L Nelson at acesmiami .org, or they can reach me at lnelson at imunique.com, or just catch me in the community and say hello and let's hold a conversation about entrepreneurship and disabilities.
thank you very much for joining us today. I did want to ask if are you one of the nonprofits that is that's participating in the Give Miami Day activity today?
Well, we did participate last year, and I didn't get a good turnout. I know like I told you, I'm trusting my new team. My
Right.
team, I'm empowering them. I know they've been applying for grants.
Okay.
They've taken, they basically told me stay myself in a room and leave them alone.
Get out the
So
way.
I've been locked. So I've been locked from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, to just let people do their work. But we have been applying, and Miss Harris has been sending me some information. But we are accepting donations
Okay.
because so if people want to reach out to ACEs or myself. And what we're doing this Christmas, we're taking all the computers, 32 computers, school supplies, and some technology stuff down to Haiti for students with disabilities. So since I closed my school, I
Nice.
currently do not need all this equipment. So I'm going to go pick 3 schools in Haiti and turn around and split up the computers. So that way they can start educating the children, with technology and also getting more governmental programs here that deal with disabilities and
Very,
advocates for people with disabilities to start coming back home with me and start seeing how we can help, some of the children with disabilities in Haiti. And the Haitian Disability Council has been very receptive to me wanting to bring more vocational trainings to Haiti.
very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you again for joining us today and taking your time out. I know before the show you said your staff was like, you got something to do, so hurry up and get off the call.
Yeah, they banging on the door right now. They locked me in here and they forgot they got the key. Could you believe that? I got locked into my
I will tell them I will let
and
you
now they got the key and they can't find it. Well, all right then.
so tell
Once
them
again,
to
I want
send
to
you.
say thank you to you.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking the
Come
time.
again?
I just wanted to say thank you
I
for
definitely want. Oh, okay, definitely appreciate it. So, Ashe, everybody, have a great, God blessed, God rising morning, and I wish you all the best. And once again, I can't wait to come back on your show again, Stephanie,
we
and
definitely
elaborate.
will have you back for sure.
Thank you
Have
for
a
having me.
great bye bye. So thank you everyone for tuning in. That was a wonderful show. I know I learned some stuff and thought definitely the ending was very powerful about the importance of really understanding that a nonprofit is a business and that we can learn from one another in that realm. And next week we will be back Tuesday with Jermaine Jones, who is the CEO of Bertram Group. It's a financial group. And so I'm looking forward to talking to him a little bit. So, because he talks to small businesses about how to seek investment for their company. So I think that's going to be very powerful. That's going to be Tuesday at 10 a.m. So please join us again. Again, it is Give Miami Day. It is the largest fundraising event in Miami-Dade County for nonprofits. So please go to Miami Foundation. Find a nonprofit that you are passionate about and give. Give at least $25. They will match it. And if you give during a chosen power hour, they will match it even more. So thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you real soon. Have a good day. Have a great weekend.